Right, so we're kind of starting. We start eventually. So this is episode. What on, Chris?
Oh, number 11.
Is everyone's episode 11? Yeah.
Oh, you've thingied it upon me.
All right. She's got. I don't do that again. You fucking nearly not. So big Thor done a fist pump to me and nearly injured me.
There was nearly a fight at my front door.
And now I need to start using my left hand for my hobbies. I like a game of pool. You thought I was a wanker. Right, so this is episode 11. And this time we've got another guest, Chris.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm shouting, you're just there.
How many times do I need to tell you about shouting in the mic?
Sorry, boss.
Go on. Right.
Shut up, on, you cunt! So that's episode 11, and this is, we've got Thor, and we'll get Chris, because Chris is here every week. And Thor done my comedy workshop on Sunday, didn't you? Well, you done not just on Sunday, you turned up. You just didn't turn up on the Sunday and do the gig after not doing the workshop for 6 weeks. So did you enjoy it?
No.
Oh, fuck you.
End of show. See you next week.
That was a closed question, Obi.
What should
Did
I
I
ask?
enjoy it? I mean, what did you think of my comedy workshop?
Oh.
I've been name checking you on the LinkedIn, pal. Have you not been
On the
following
LinkedIn?
the chatter on
I
the
think
professional networking?
I've got
site?
LinkedIn, but I think I've logged in twice since 2012. So I've got a photograph on it from me doing stand up at the Wickerman Festival about 2010.
So I could connect with you on there. By the way, I find it weird wearing headphones. It's like a weird echoey thing. I can hear how my voice really sounds, which is
It's a weird
disturbing.
echoey thing.
It's
a weird
echoey
echoey thing. It's a weird echo thing. Just pretend you're on the radio, mate, because that's what it is. So, how did you find it? Is that? Am I asked the question right there, Chris?
How did you find it? I think you just drove to the Tenants Bar every Sunday. Hey,
Wait.
That's a nice open question. How did I find it? I would say that the energy coming from you meant that it was a positive experience. I only made it maybe to 4 out of the 6.
Good.
And then I did the gig at the end. You do the edit, Chris.
I do.
Chris does everything.
I charge it per removal of
I'm
costs, so
actually-
keep going.
I'm actually not even here. This is an AI Obi. So actually, just he's allowed to use my image.
AI Obi's a greedy cunt.
He's making me look shite by making me eat hundreds of Freddos every week.
No, you asked about how I found the course. So I'd done 3 gigs before. The last one I bombed really bad after my opening Boris Johnson joke. And the other 2...
Was that Nazi's gig, was it?
Yeah. The other 2, like one had gone really pretty well, and the other one had gone middling. But you know, if it goes well and it's a room full of people that you've basically sold most of the tickets for, you can't really judge it by that, can you? So
Aye.
it was a matter of when a pal of mine told me about your course, I thought, I need to give it another go.
Aye.
So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, man. It was well worth the time invested, but you should be charging a lot more.
I can enjoy it. All right, so all right, fair enough. I'll charge a lot more, so I'll invoice you after that, after the podcast.
You could definitely get away with charging a lot more. That course the other guys were talking about where they never even got near a microphone.
And they done 2 days, and I do
and
6
I'm
weeks.
sure that was more expensive.
Aye.
So
I know. Maybe someday, but I enjoy it. I do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I get a buzz out of the result. And Chris was there as well. So me and Chris, at the start of the Fuck It List podcast, we gave each other a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris's challenge was doing his first stand-up gig. And he done his first stand-up gig on Sunday.
yeah.
Tick on the list.
Take the
Yeah,
last.
can you turn him down? He's actually deafening me, and I'm half deaf.
I'm
Fucking hell,
definitely...
Obi. No, I've my left ear's half deaf, and you're fucking making it worse.
I think that's just how he talks. But
That's
yeah,
just
I'll
how I
turn
talk, mate.
Oh, that's not what a relief. Fucking hell, that's good.
Right, I've turned your headphones down. That should be a bit.
Right, so
Is
how,
Yeah, I think that's better. Thanks, Chris.
so how did you find your first gig, Chris?
We just drove to the Tenants Bar. Hey. No,
His
Yeah.
partner was better than that on the night.
I should hope so. Yeah, we've not talked about it yet, but I had a similar. I was vocally nervous before we started.
Shiting yourself.
Yeah, we've talked about it plenty, about how I was in my own head about
Aye.
the difference between being on stage in a musical context, which I'm used to. I've been doing
Aye.
it like my whole life, and doing it basically without the guitar. That was my opening joke, wasn't it? The difference between, you know, I felt like I had my guitar taken off me,
Aye, it is.
and that felt like I was up there with no trousers and had my cock out. But yeah, there was.
That wasn't quite the joke. The joke was a lot funnier than
No,
that.
that was the premise. But yeah, I was kind of talking. I can't even remember who I was talking to after it. But you know, we did the week where we talked about the alter ego and the persona effect type stuff. I'd read the book.
Have you read it all?
No. I started reading the book. I probably read about half of it and then kind of fell away from it. But the idea of it was in my mind at least, and I felt like I'd been kind of overthinking it. I probably could have just done with finishing the book and might have got the answers I was looking for. But I just had the idea in my head and how to try and put it into practice. And I was trying it each week at the workshop, and I was getting more confident on stage in front of the group. But I just found when we did the gig in front of that audience, not only me, I think everyone went up another level compared to how we saw them even at their best.
Aye, because when we're doing it in the workshop, you're just doing it in front of people that are writing as well, so it's not the same. But people that night were having a beer.
Yeah, obviously there's a much better reaction because the element of surprise of the jokes, that all of us were used to each other's jokes.
Mm-hmm. I've not heard them about 100 times before the gig.
Aye, that's it. But no, I felt, I'm not going to say out of body to an extent,
totally,
but there was a sort of feeling of I went on, came back off, and it didn't entirely feel like I had physically gone up there. It was like I came back into myself and was like, what have you just done?
That was the alter ego kicking in.
That's it.
Because happens.
That's what I was saying. I was sort of overthinking it and sort of struggling to put it into practice, and then I found that it just happened.
Aye, because I found when I started doing stand-up, I'd have gigs where I'm in my head thinking about it, the wee voice in my head talking about it, but then eventually it got to a stage where I'd done a lot, and you got up on stage and it happens for 20 minutes, then you come off and you can't remember the gig, but you know you done well. It's like, what the fuck just happened there?
Yeah, that was pretty much it, which, again, I do get music-wise, and we talked about it with John as well, with Colonel Mustard John.
Oh, aye.
He has the whole thing of, you know, he can do an hour or more long set, come off and not really remember it because it was that persona. It wasn't necessarily him.
Mustard zone.
Yeah. So yeah, I found that quite interesting. It was a sort of heightened feeling compared to what I get when I do music, and I do enjoy it. But yeah, it was a strange but enjoyable.
And now the next one, before we got to Thor here, my next fuck it is, so I helped Chris to do stand up, which was part of the fuck it list, and now after learning the guitar, learn to sing and do a music gig. So I'm a shite singer, Thor. So after learning the guitar, learn a song to go to a gig and do a song.
I think you're being too light, and you should make him busk. He should have to go into Edinburgh and busk
I'll
with his
fucking
guitar.
do that, aye. Fuck it. So you've added another level to that.
I'll join you in that. I'll come play the tambourine with you.
Fuck it, right, let's do it, man. Let's do it. He never done. So let's...
I got a question for Chris.
Yeah.
You were saying on the WhatsApp group earlier, you weren't sure if you were going to do another one. And I was like, man, I'm not comparing anyone to anyone, but you did really well, mate. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. It was really good. Shit hot.
I appreciate it.
I'm like, you have to do another one. So what's your thinking? Are you going to do more, or?
Yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards giving it another bash.
I'll bully him. I'll bully you as well. I like to bully people that have done their first gig and they never get around. Like Murray, who was really good as well.
He's amazing.
And he done my course last year, and he was really good again. And I think he done one gig since then. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
That is wasted talent. Like, that guy is exceptional.
Because his writing is phenomenal, isn't it? It's just nuts. So let's talk about Thor, right? So we invited you because I thought, because I just met you just for the workshop. We've chatted a few times online and stuff. Just find your story quite interesting. So, but I don't know everything about you. So tell us, what do you do? Like, what's your secrets? Or what do you do for a living? I know you're involved in property, but I think but you've not really told me everything.
You keep coming back to this property idea.
I think so. I'm just gonna reading. I don't know. What do you?
Did you do a Google search on me?
I didn't because I didn't want too much.
I did.
Did you do it?
You don't want it.
How many pages deep did you go?
I didn't.
I just think. Did you speak to my FBI handler?
I think £20 a bit much for the OnlyFans monthly, to be honest.
You think?
Is it? Is that you on it?
When you've got feet like mine, that people really get into the fetish of huge feet.
Is it Thor's Feet? Is that thorsfeet.com?
No, so is it a serious question? You want to know what I do?
I'm interested.
Well, it's nothing to do with property. I have had properties over the years, but property, yeah, that's not my thing. That's
Right.
really not my thing. I'm a coach.
Right,
What I
okay,
do.
I thought so, aye. So what kind of stuff, what do you...
So what kind of projects have I got on at the moment? I'm going to have to take this headphone half off. I literally can't, my brain can't function hearing my own voice banging back into my ears. It's going to be a problem when Joe Rogan invites me on.
I know.
Because they all wear the headphones.
I know, he was on as well as that. See, he phoned me earlier and he went, Obi, hello, it's Joe here. See that guy Thor you've got on, can you ask him if he can come and do mine as well?
Yeah. Can
he
you
does
check
it-
him out with the headphones and check he can handle them?
Aye, so he does it in Stirling. So he's like, so we
Austin Sterling.
so we do it in Cumbernauld. Joe Rogan's just up the road to Stirling.
Yeah.
So you can maybe jump into his studio on the way home.
I'll go on the way back, yeah.
Right. So right, sorry, back to your coaching stuff.
Type of projects I typically get involved in would be what I got at the moment. So working with a managing director to help him do a management buyout on the business. So he stuck £500,000 of his own money in.
Right.
And then it's a matter of how you exit the current owner or keep them involved and diplomatically keep them involved but move them on.
Aye.
And then at the same time, how you communicate with the existing team to get the best result for the business and for him, now the main
so it's
owner of the
business
business.
coaching kind of stuff.
Yeah, but there's pretty much always a communication component to it.
Right.
I had one last year who's coming back again this year, who's a divorce lawyer. So the role there is this person has some very high-profile clients who you see on the front page of whatever newspapers.
Aye.
And what this divorce lawyer wants from me as their coach is to be a listening ear, as one ear's fucked, just a listening ear.
Oh,
A
so you
listening
got one
ear.
dodgy ear.
Just a listening right ear. Aye, and to help them basically for their confidence, because there was one particularly massive case they were dealing with,
Right.
and there's a whole set of lawyers who all think they should have been, or their firm should have been representing, whereas actually this person got to represent. Anyway, that's too much backstory. The point is, my role there is to help this person with self-narrative, self-story,
Right, okay.
and also with managing all the stakeholders in the case, including the principal, the client. So yeah, what other projects have I got on the go?
So
at the moment?
is part of it helping people believe that they're actually capable of doing what they're doing? So
Partly,
people kind of dealing
partly
with
about
self-doubt.
confidence. Yeah, there's a lot.
Self-doubt.
There's a lot about confidence for people. So it's working on self-narrative so that they be the best version of them
Yeah.
in their professional context. Usually, sometimes it's personal stuff, but typically it's got a business component. Maybe it's a
Alright.
big pitch they're working on. Maybe it's I'm working on one at the moment. 2 guys launching a conference, an energy conference, and they came to me, and one of them was shitting himself about public speaking, and the other one's super confident. One's the owner of a oil business. The other one's like a senior guy. And my role is to basically get them prepped and ready to go and speak. And I help them with their writing as well. So I'm helping them basically be funny in this case.
Aye.
I mean, it's not stand-up comedy, but they do want to create a certain energy in the room. You're talking 500 people in a room.
Aye.
Everyone's paid a lot of money to be there.
Aye.
These guys are sponsoring the show, or their companies are. So my role is to make them, their business, look good by generating the right feelings in the room. So the feelings we want for that particular gig are hope and encouragement.
All right, cool.
So then what's the messaging and how do I get them bouncing off each other? So I've got them up on stage at the same time. They thought they were going to do a 5-minute and a 5-minute. And I says, nah. You guys are funny together. So I've cut the script up and now getting them to practice and bounce off each other and interrupt each other at the right times and things.
All right, that
So it's
sounds
partly
good,
a
aye.
writing gig and partly a coaching
Aye.
gig.
So it's like it just shows you like you think people that are successful. You're talking about people that are very successful here. So you think you
Much
kind
more
of,
successful than me, that's for damn sure.
well, aye, but the thing you probably had to deal with your narrative to know that you're actually good enough to help them. You know, so it's like so it just shows you like successful people, these millionaire people or whatever, big business people, have got issues as well.
Well, a lot of that's talked about in that book that we were talking about,
Aye.
the
The
alter
alter
ego
ego.
effect. I'd say the majority of the examples that I heard in that was using in a business context rather than a kind of
Aye.
entertainment or sporting thing. There's all sorts of applications of that,
Aye.
and business was a big one of those.
Like it's one of the things you see people that are like you look at that guy, he's got a big house, he's got the perfect marriage and all that. You think, oh, that guy must be super confident. But if you actually get to know them, you'll probably realise he's just as insecure as us. Well, me anyway.
Listen, mate, I remember the best thing I ever heard on this was from a guy that I had actually coached many years ago. So I would have been late 20s, maybe early 30s. We were down in London.
Aye.
The guy I'd coached as a boxer, he'd had 35, 36 amateur fights, and I used to help him prep conditioning-wise for his
Right.
fighting.
I should have the fitness stuff as well.
Yeah, but that was fucking decades ago, right? When I was fit.
Yeah,
Anyway,
still fit, big bad. Stop
We
it.
were at this London gym, and I was introducing this young guy to an ex-professional boxer,
Yep.
and he outweighed either of us by maybe 3 stone. Easy.
Oh,
He was much
3 stone
bigger.
heavier.
Oh yeah, he was a
Bulky.
big dude.
Whistle.
And there was also a not Mr. Olympia, but an Olympia standard bodybuilder. So one of the top 20 bodybuilders in the world was another guy who was part of this little circle, and we were going to spar with him. And I was winding up the young boxer about the pro and about how he was going to fill him in, because he wasn't my client anymore. We were just mates by this point.
Aye.
And I always remember him going, nah, fuck him. He's only got 2 arms and 2 legs. And I went, yeah, dude, you're right.
Aye.
And you should have seen the young guy go after the ex-pro. Like, bloodied him up and chased him around the place.
Aye.
Now, the guy was probably out of condition because he hadn't been a pro for a few
Aye.
years. But it's that attitude. And so when you speak about some super successful guy with the alleged perfect marriage, firstly, he probably doesn't have a perfect marriage.
No.
And secondly, they're only human. 2 arms, 2 legs.
Exactly.
You know, take a dump in the morning.
Aye.
We're all the same.
Exactly. So I read. I think I'm not 100%. Have you ever read David Goggins stuff?
Nah.
Who's going to carry the boat?
I'm so done with these fucking Americans and their rah-rah.
No, but David
Fucking
Goggins.
No. Hold on. Let me just
Fucking
state, let me
David
state this
Goggins
on
is
record
different.
before you go David Goggins.
David fucking
He'll
Goggins.
be another SEAL team guy that's gone overseas and been involved in America's illegal wars around the world. I am not motivated by those guys. I'm sorry. I know they're hard asses.
Right.
Good on them. They can come after me now. Super. But seriously, does anyone need to hear another fucking American with a big gun telling us how to fucking be fit and
All
push
right, so I'll
ourselves?
give you one
Fucking
example and
hell.
then we move on. So
No,
it
go on
is
then. Tell me a
like
David
American,
Goggins. I apologise. Not to Goggins, to you I do.
That's the kind of rant. Like, we want to see more of that kind of rant.
You'll
Just stand
fucking
there.
get it, son! You'll get it when you get me going on my anti-war stuff.
If David Goggins is listening to this, Thor's going to kick fuck out.
No. Thor wouldn't. Thor would love to give him a big hug, and I bet he's fucking traumatized by what he's had to do.
Aye, probably.
So I'm not disrespecting the guys. I'm actually not. I'm disrespecting the American war machine.
Totally,
it's
I
a
get
fucking
that.
huge difference. I have no actual problem with the personal.
Yep.
With these guys personally, I've got a mate who's I won't go into it. I get it. They've been fucking traumatized. They've been part of a system which is a very dark, evil system.
I agree
So
with you.
it's not personal against David Goggins, but I'm not motivated by fucking ex-SEAL team guys.
All right,
Fuck
fair enough.
that.
All right, I totally agree with
Good
you.
on them, oh.
Right,
Shoot
right,
some
I agree
brown
with you.
people. Fucking slow hat back lads. Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
I agree
with
with you.
fucking pea shooters and fucking IEDs. You've
Is that
got
what
the
they use?
fucking biggest fucking air force in the world, pumping out more
I know,
CO2 than
I
anything
know,
else,
I know.
fucking wrecking the environment, killing little brown kids, and I'm supposed to be motivated by him. You can edit all this out, Chris.
No, we need
it's
that. That's viral shit. That right? The big man's kicking off. Right, but right, forget the war thing. Right? But he's
Tell me
fit-
what David Goggins had to say.
So he's,
Carry the boat.
What is it? Oh, he's in the boats. Okay,
He's in
cool.
the
I take
boats.
it all back.
No,
I love
that
boats.
was when he was in the Navies. It doesn't matter. So how many? He's run.
He wasn't away fishing though, was he? He was
No,
away
no,
to
he wasn't fishing,
shoot
right.
some poor bugger,
So,
yeah.
so basically, he said, like, he was talking about different people.
still got it, Goggins.
Fucking David Goggins, right? Fitness wise, forget the war stuff, right?
I need a new button now.
They did the bad, right? So he was talking to, or he's speaking about Michael Jordan, and he met Michael. I don't know if it might. This is somebody that met Michael Jordan, and Mike, you know about Michael. You could talk about Michael Jordan. He didn't go to war, so we're all right with him. Michael Jordan, and they met him, or some. I think it was David Goggins that met him.
I prefer Muhammad Ali because they tried to make him go to war and he said no.
Right,
and
so
went to jail. for it.
fucking, like, there's Muhammad Ali. Met fucking Michael. He came forward in time because it was like, and he met Michael Jordan, and he realised, he spoke to him, and he realised Michael Jordan's just a bloke.
Yeah.
He actually met him face to face,
Pretty
and
exceptional
realised,
bloke, but yeah.
I know, but he's just a bloke.
Yeah.
So he's not like he is a superhero, but when it's just a guy, a normal guy who's put the work in.
Do you ever find that when you either meet or even see someone in person for the first time that you've like idolised from telly or something? Like, for example, I've been to see bands that I've like grew up watching, and then when I finally, like when I first saw the Foo Fighters,
Aye.
I grew up like idolising Dave Grohl. And when the first time I saw him was like, 10 years maybe after I first heard of him.
Aye.
Watched him all these years, and just seeing him in the flesh, there's that thing where you're like, he is just a guy.
Aye.
Just seeing him in the flesh rather than on a screen sort of makes it.
Aye, you think he's like some kind of super. Well, they are, but you realise it's more accessible because it's just a guy.
Yeah.
It's like seeing stand-ups. Like I've met like Kevin Bridges, Frankie Boyle, and you just see them in the pub. It's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
Who's just done this thing. You just he's just done a load of steps. That's got something.
Okay, so here's a question for you, Obi. You're funny, right? I was in that gig. I saw you get those people laughing their asses off. I can see how funny you are. I watch a lot of comedy. I go to live gigs whenever I can. I went to see a certain comic recently. I paid £30 a ticket. Took a mate of mine along. TV comic. Guy gets on lots of big shows.
I like your way being nice, no mention.
I'm not going to mention them because I'm not
Can you
going to
say it
diss
and I'll
him.
edit it out for context?
Will you really? Because
I swear I will.
much as I slag off the American War Machine, I'm not into slagging comics off. So
Yeah,
you
no,
will edit it out.
absolutely. Yeah.
It was,
All right, okay.
and I was so disappointed because it just wasn't fucking funny.
Aye.
And my mate that I'd taken along, I could tell he was laughing politely because he felt bad that I'd paid for his ticket, and it was just shit. It was like he was just coming out with shit off the top of his head that wasn't even funny.
Aye.
I'm like, I've seen loads of local MCs be fucking funnier.
Yep.
Spur of the moment. I'm
Aye.
like, how is this cunt getting away with this? It's crazy.
So, it's mad because there's definitely but see, in the comedy world I've been into for
You will edit that out, right? Him.
Aye, he's not a cunt. He's not a cunt. In the comedy circuit, there's people who are successful, people who are not, and I know people are a lot of the successful people are great, you know. But
Yeah,
there is
for
people
sure.
who are successful who aren't as good as some of the people I see all the time in the circuit.
Yeah, some of the best comedians I've seen have been like small, no-name club acts that
Aye.
you'd never hear of again, or you know.
Aye, there's guys like Raymond Mearns.
Yeah, I mean
Scottish guy.
he's got a decent name for himself at least in Scotland.
Aye,
and
so but like,
maybe the
he
Greater UK now.
mentored Kevin Bridges.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he was younger. And
Is that Glasgow Da?
Glasgow
Aye,
Dad,
aye,
brilliant.
okay.
He's funny. Like
Fucking legend, yeah,
His
yeah.
stand-up, and there's other guys, brilliant comedians, but they've not had that break. And it's probably a narrative thing. Maybe there's part of them, probably part of me thinks that, like, I know that I'm good at what I do, but there's part of me kind of goes, but do I deserve that big success? I don't know what it is, so there's something in there. Because I know if I go on a stage with somebody that's like a big name, I could do just as well as them. But it's just it's all the kind of selling myself kind of shit. It's a hard part sometimes.
Did that come up for you in ayahuasca? Because for me, in
we're talking about ayahuasca.
my first ayahuasca journey,
Yep.
I just had a really powerful kind of affirmation of what I do and how it's just fine to be, inverted commas, just a coach. Like,
Aye.
I don't need whatever the accolades. Like, you talk about success. Like, what's that? Like, I went to a funeral today. There was probably 120 people there. I've been at another funeral of a relative of mine. It was standing room only, 600. That would be a pretty cool way to judge success. How many folk came to your funeral? Problem is, we don't know because people aren't booking tickets before
Aye.
we go.
I know,
Like,
so-
that's success, isn't it?
I should maybe do that for my upcoming shows. Say, listen, if you're planning to come to my funeral, just not bother, just come to buy tickets to my gig instead. Like,
Well, that's actually pretty fucking funny.
So
I
rather
think
than
that could
coming
be
to
a
my
good
funeral
sales
when I
gig.
die, come to my
Marketing gimmick.
and I'll bring sausage rolls.
Yeah, we can have the wake up front at my gig.
Aye.
Because
And then
I'm
you're-
going to die up there.
That's going to be
Aye.
a fringe show, innit? Like Obie's wake.
Someone must have done that already. If they haven't, I'm doing it. I'm doing that next year. I'm having it.
Oh, have you claimed it?
Well, you can take it.
We could toss for it.
I've
'Cause
just-
Anyway, my
I've just
point,
booked
my point was to ask you the question: did anything about your profession come up for you during your ayahuasca journey? That was my question.
no, nothing that because I didn't go too deep because I shot myself.
That's the gas man. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, can we pause this?
Bring him in or her. Who are you to assume his
Oh, no,
gender?
we can just keep
Bring
going.
her, him, she, him, her in.
We can keep going. We're all right. So this is part of the podcast. This is all part of the fun. So Chris is about the gas man. I know. So it never come up because this is just talking about ayahuasca now. So it didn't come up because I didn't go that deep because I kind of bottled it a wee bit. But I think maybe the next time I go. But
Hero dose next time, pal.
possibly, possibly.
Or just two mediums taken back to
The
back.
mediums.
That's a hero.
Aye. But wait, see, maybe later on in the year I'll do it again and I'll go back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kidding. Obviously, it's not about taking hero doses. What I don't think it is. It's about whatever you get is fine. Is honestly the way I'd say it.
So what I was going to say there, like a good point you mentioned there, because I've always had people see me stand up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I'd like to be more successful at it. I'm doing my best. I'm working hard at it. Doing the podcast stuff like that helps eventually. But and I get people because I've done it for 25 years, I think. Right. Mm-hmm. So there is people that say to me, you get people to say if you were any good, you'd have been more successful. And I says, well, aye, but I get to do what I love 100 times a year, and I'd rather have that than like when years ago I'd done a degree in engineering, and some people and so the way society is, the last week on, that's a bit of a waste. You could have been an engineer and quite successful at that, but not one of them says well done and getting that to fucking doing stand up something you want. Because I remember there was a guy in my village, older guy, talking to me because at school I was top of my class at maths and stuff like that. Right, I was good at numbers and shit. And I said to him, I hadn't seen him for a few years, and I was in the pub, and he went, "How you getting on?" I went, I'm really enjoying my stand up. I've gone to Germany, I've been to Australia, I'm getting about. And he could have looked at me and he went, "Oh, you could have been something because I was good academically." I was like, "Fuck you," because there's not many people in the world that actually go, "Fuck it, I'm going to do what I want to do." Instead, he actually gone down the kind of route of the career. Doing the fucking thing that the careers advisor told you to do at school. Remember that the form you filled out as a careers advisor. I went, "Oh, well done, you're an engineer." They push you into that career, despite in your mind you want to be a comedian or a clown or an OnlyFans person.
So I'm imagining some people watching or listening to this will be like, "Yeah, Obi and Thor are just justifying why they're not multi-billionaires." So maybe that's what's happening here. But for me, the realization on the plant medicine journeys was so profound that I'm genuinely not bothered if someone thinks that. Like, I really don't mind that. That just feels like their journey, their stuff, and that's totally cool. But for me, I could show you, like I had one earlier on, like somebody sent me a WhatsApp, right? And what they sent me, it's worth more than money. Now I get paid for what I do.
Aye. So this is one of your coaching clients.
Yeah. So, hi, just to let you know that I delivered my value moment. It's like a safety moment, but about values at a company, a presentation basically. Hi, just to let you know I delivered my value moment this morning. I did make it more controversial than I would have, mostly thanks to you and your support over the previous few weeks.
Brilliant.
I felt able to deliver it in a relaxed, friendly manner and have already received calls and messages from people on the call who said it resonated with them. I've also felt a better sense of what I can offer, like in her job, and just feel more comfortable in how to get myself more visible. Thank you. Now, her early message went like this. When she first got in touch a few weeks ago. Oh, I don't seem to be able to get signal in here. That's weird.
You're in Cumbernauld now, mate. The signal's a bit shit in Cumbernauld.
It is a bit dodgy, isn't it? First message said, "Hey, very scared by public speaking and presenting, looking to do something proactive about it." So that's the before.
Aye.
Thorapy, that's what my clients call it.
Thorapy.
Therapy. Ha. But that was before the stuff we did together and explored together, and then you heard the after.
I love that.
To me that's what it's about. So she could pay me zero, or she could pay me corporate rate of a few grand for the same project. Exactly. Well, as long as I can eat and pay me mortgages and that shit, happy days.
And that's more valuable, and I get that as well. So see, like the workshop I do, I know I don't charge a lot for it, but seeing people, some of the people in the workshop who couldn't get up in front of the class to introduce themselves.
I saw that. I saw that. That one particular case, I'm not going to name, but that was impressive.
So they couldn't get on. They couldn't. They started the workshop. You made the first day, second day.
Yeah, I know who that is. I know who you're talking about. I won't
mention them. So couldn't. I said, right, get on stage, the microphone, say who you are, introduce yourself while you're here. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
From that to last Sunday.
Yeah, I saw what they did.
Getting fucking applause breaks.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And I get a buzz off of that.
Oh, yeah, it
and
was
that's
amazing.
just like I just talked about that there. I get this kind of.
Me too. I get like goose pimples.
Aye.
Just the development for that person that they got from that course
fuck.
and from your facilitation of that course.
And I got a lot of that.
Can't
And
pay for that. Can't pay for that. And this is where the funeral success thing would cut in, because a bit like my parents in their hippie island, you will have impacted a lot of people over the years. Like, I don't know, pick a name out of a hat. Jimmy Carr.
Right.
Jimmy Carr, yeah, obviously cracking comedian.
It's very controversial. It's funny.
Happy days. No, but I mean, who knows how many people will go to Jimmy's funeral? You wouldn't know, but in terms of the number of people he's positively impacted personally, I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, how would we know if there'd be as many at Obi's funeral? Because, like, if all your previous students that have come to your comedy things knew that you'd got run over by the proverbial fucking bus, I think a lot of us would want to go to your funeral.
Maybe that's the reason why I'm doing a workshop, because I want to sell. So I don't want to
You
sell.
want tickets sold for your funeral?
I want to sell 200 tickets for my funeral, which are available online to pre-book. Aye.
The tickets for your gig is only £10 each. Let's do a
That's it.
promo right now in the middle. I just bought 2 for me and the girlfriend.
So what did you just thought? Punch me. So
Well, now I know you're on LinkedIn. I'll name check you and I'll try and get some more sales on the
Go for it,
LinkedIn.
that'd be amazing. So we've always plugged that. It's always on the
Are you down as John Obie on LinkedIn?
I'll find it later on, because I've not been on it ages. But I might do corporate workshop stuff at some point. So let's you touched on, you said before you came in you didn't want to talk about ayahuasca, but now you've started it, so we're in there. So tell me, when was the first time? So if you don't know what ayahuasca is, could you explain that to people that don't know what it is?
Well, I do not profess to be an ayahuasca expert.
Aye.
That's the first thing. I'm just somebody that's experienced a couple of plant medicine journeys involving said beautiful, precious plant medicine. It's, as far as I understand it, from the southern part of the Americas.
Peru or something like that.
Oh yeah, they seem to have it in a few of those countries. People, James English, the Scottish podcaster with the English surname, he does a cracking ayahuasca documentary. That's well worth a watch. I would say to anyone to go watch that on YouTube. You get it for free. Have you seen that one?
I've seen that a while ago, a few years ago.
That's kind of a good basic primer for a Scottish listening to this pod, would be to listen to his ayahuasca. Go and look at his
what I think
ayahuasca
about
doc.
Chris.
Yeah, me too.
He's back.
See how it is. You're not sharing my cup.
Has he made himself a cup of tea and not us? You've got to be fucking kidding.
Chris
When
just
I was in Joe
pretended-
Rogan's pod over in Falkirk,
Aye.
fuck me.
Chris just pretended, he set an alarm, pretended the gas man was coming.
Yeah.
He just wanted to make himself a cup of tea.
I had to do something to pretend I was pottering around while the gas man was in the cupboard, and I didn't want to just like
Leave him.
stand behind him, And I thought I'll make a wee cup
Couldn't
of
just
tea.
go for a wank like everyone else.
I finished that within the first minute. I had like a few more.
Sorry, we've ended up going on the ayahuasca.
We just started that when I left.
Aye, so we just started on that, mate. Is the camera's good?
Yep, all good.
Right. So,
We drifted off it, and who knows where we've been. Fuck knows.
Aye.
Sorry, can I get anyone a cup of tea?
Too late, right? I've got my Lucozade. Sponsored by Lucozade. Not really.
I would have been delighted with a cup of tea.
I mean,
but
yeah,
I
cup
don't
of
want
tea.
you. I don't want you to have to leave.
No, you can get. What'd you take?
Cow mucus only.
Cow mucus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Excuse me.
milk only, mate. No sugar, thank you.
Righto, back in a moment.
All
Continue.
right, Chris has gone for a cup of tea.
I'm looking forward to editing this, and I'll see
good.
that for the first time me seeing an episode of this like that wasn't there.
Aye, you said you read it. I heard all this shit before, so this is. So another thing about Chris, I've seen his hard drive. Holy shit, the stuff on there. Right, so
Actually, in all, now that Chris has gone, holy fuck, the difference in Chris. The difference in Chris, seriously, from his early run-throughs.
Brilliant.
Holy shit, man! He stormed it. He stormed it.
So this is a
Absolutely
gig
stormed
on
it. Very
Sunday. Chris was brilliant.
professional.
Because it was-
I've seen pros not pull that off. I'm not even.
Yeah.
I've got no reason to blow
Aye.
smoke up his ass. He's not here.
Aye, and then a wee surprise for him. He was saying that, like a wee cheesy grin, which is
Well,
good.
it's a true story.
Aye.
But this is what I say. Like, that's why when I mentioned that comedian who we bleeped out before, I was just so disappointed because I was like, I know that they're only human and people can have an off night. I get it. But dude, you've got thousands of people in here that have all paid £30 a
Aye.
head. Like, a bit of respect. Just have some fucking jokes or something.
Yeah, I think sometimes it doesn't happen. I've seen some comedians who've got to a certain level, they'll sell tickets and they don't really give a shit.
That was the vibes he was giving off.
So it's like the Rocky movie, right? I know you don't like Americans again. It's like Rocky 2.
I'm cool with Rocky. Come on, that's
Alright, right, Rocky. So it's like Rocky 2. Do you know when Rocky gets kind of famous? But in the movie, he becomes like the star. He's like signing autographs and shit in the movie. And he gets a fight. And he's kind of he's sparring, but he's kind of doing it, kind of showing off. And who was his manager, the wee guy that took him?
Oh, I can't remember.
The wee guy. Hey Rock, the guy with the dodgy eye. So he took him back to the Bronx, the suburbs, to show them the guys starting out their journey where Rocky was, and seeing the fucking the eye. It was Eye the Tiger. So that's where the kind of song came from. So that these guys were skint, but they wanted something. They were hungry. Whereas Rocky, by that time, he was a millionaire. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And he went in and showed them these guys. Went, look at their eyes, Rock. Look at their eyes. Showed them their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's what I seen on Chrissy's hard drive. How was that for timing, right?
Thanks, dude. Much appreciated.
Can I get like a? Can I get an Angel Delight?
Angel Delight.
A wee muffin.
Okay, yeah, wee muffin.
Hey, no, when Thor's here.
Hey.
That's our special time. Sorry.
It's 2024, Obi.
That's
As I
allowed,
pointed
isn't it?
out before, if you're not at least bi-curious, what are you doing with yourself? Come on, people.
Right. So we'll talk about ayahuasca. So we had a segue. We started ayahuasca, spoke about Rocky, we spoke about you.
Once she's gone.
That's me caught up. There we go.
It's a good stuff. So we're talking about what is ayahuasca. You're telling the people that are watching.
And I'm telling people to go watch a documentary because I don't pretend to be the expert on it. What I do know is it was like decades of good therapy in a single night. And
So when did you first take it?
Hold on, mate.
Oh,
I know a bit about therapy because I
Right.
was a volunteer mental health counsellor for 3 years for
Help me.
Mental Health Aberdeen. And my job is to listen to people. And I joked about my clients. Some of them say that I deliver Thorapy, which is a bit like therapy,
Hey,
but
hey.
it's a lot rougher and a lot more laughs than most therapists that I've had involvement with. Anyway, for me, ayahuasca, it rewires or can rewire your brain. I'll give you an example. I used to be somebody who would medicate with food to some degree.
Oh, aye.
So I'll give you an example would be, let's say I'm feeling a bit down or in the past, and I've got a packet of digestives and a pot of tea. Could easy eat the whole packet of digestives.
Easy.
Now,
Easy.
no one's going to notice
I can
because
still do it.
I've never put on weight like fat that easily. And also I've been super active my whole life.
Aye.
So you can, invert commas, get away with it, but you're still self-medicating with food. Now on ayahuasca, I can remember one of the purges, and a purge for those that don't know is basically throwing up, but it's not like normal throwing up. It's typically, how can we put it, kind of more expressive, let's just say. And the medicine seems to be able to attach meaning to it. So
Aye.
I can remember throwing up gluttony, and I'm not a glutton anymore.
Aye.
Like I don't do that anymore. Like it just rewired me. So now I'll still eat 4 or 5 malted milks or 3 or 4 digestives. Yeah, but before I had the whole packet. Now I have enough to have a nice fill of a yummy biscuit, and then it's done. So it rewired my brain. That's just a silly wee example.
That's pretty big though.
But compared to
So
some of the stuff, basically rewired my brain around certain key relationships, like with my mother, for example. Changed how I felt about my upbringing. I've been born in a wee wooden hut in the middle of nowhere, no power, no
And now you're
no
in
plumbing.
the podcast studio which
with
is
no
similar.
power. No, this place is like this is the size. This is actually the size of the hut I was
That's
born
nice,
in.
isn't it?
Genuinely,
Aye,
this is the
aye,
same size.
Shetland.
Did you have a drum kit?
No drum kit. We had a wooden fish box that they shoved me in, apparently.
Did you have a banjo?
Dad would have been over the moon with a drum kit. He loves his bongos and stuff. He's into drums.
Aye.
Old hippie.
Did you have a banjo?
Now he plays guitar.
All right, right. So what else? So
Like you will be. Like you will very soon.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. That's the next thing, isn't it, Chris?
Yep.
We're going to do a podcast on that, me learning the guitar.
Yeah.
How long do you think it'll take you to teach Obi to play the guitar?
Well, you had did a bit in the past, didn't you?
I done
Kind of
a
learned some
a few
basic
years
chords.
ago, I learned to play Wild Thing by the Trogs.
Yeah, yeah.
Badly, but I could play it. I could play that a wee bit.
So yeah, if we're not starting from zero.
It is still
It's gonna
start
be-
from scratch because it
No,
will take me a wee while.
when I teach you the chord shapes again, it'll come back to you.
Aye.
It's very not quite like riding a bike where you can pick it up and play, but
Aye,
it'll be in there somewhere. And
I'll
it'll
be in
come
there
back.
somewhere, aye. It takes a wee while to get your fingers adjusted because
Yeah.
it's sore. So you get your fingers in the right positions.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was doing that. I was doing that as if the microphone had to hear my fingers. But I forget it was a camera, so it's like getting your fingers in the right positions is quite difficult. I bet you've got good finger muscles.
I've been a bit lazy of late. Like I said a few episodes
Aye.
ago, was like the first time I'd sat down and played guitar for like an hour in a long time.
Oh, so you find
And
it
I
quite
kinda-
sore then?
It's not sore in terms of muscle movement, but it's like if you're really experienced and play all the time, you get kind of calluses
Aye,
built
aye,
up
aye.
on your fingertips, so it's not
It's
hard.
quite sore.
Yeah, it's not so when you're pushing down on the steel strings, but for me, it's kind of gone soft again. So I had that kind of coming back a bit.
Because you build up wee calluses on your fingertips. After
So
you,
there's a pretty obvious analogy here, which I'll use anyway. Would you say it's comparable maybe to stand up, like gigging? So, for example, Grant, he's built up some comedy calluses. Do you know what I mean?
Aye,
like
aye.
he's done, I don't know, 70
young
gigs
Grant-
or whatever he's done, and he just
Yeah.
keeps going. So he can handle a bombing, because he was talking about, for him, it's like one decent gig or one good gig, one gig where he feels like it's bombed, one good gig, one where it bombed. Now, that's some calluses to be building up, isn't
totally,
it?
aye. Because when I started doing comedy like years ago, I think my first 2 or 3 went all right. In my head, they went all right. Probably was as good as I thought. Then I think I did a really bad one, and it hurt me like a ton of bricks. It was like a punch in the stomach. I felt humiliated, all that shit. What the fuck am I doing? And it hurt me. Then I would go back on again. But there was a point where I didn't do it for 6 months because of that, or something like that. And then I went back, and eventually, after a few years, I got to a point where a bad gig, I didn't give a shit. I could go up, have 100 people hating me, and I genuinely didn't give a fuck. And that's the most liberating thing in the world. So you get up and dying in your ass, and genuinely not caring. And I genuinely don't anymore. Of it. I mean, luckily it doesn't happen very often. Maybe 1 in 30 or something will have a bad gig, and I just don't give a fuck.
That's the point I want to get to.
Aye.
And I don't even really know, as much as I was shitting it before I went on Sunday, I don't even think I was necessarily scared of bombing. I don't really know what I was scared of. But I was certainly
Judgment
scared.
or something. People are scared
Maybe.
of judgment or something.
Maybe because I had the whole thing of I didn't want to invite like my friends. Do you know what I mean? Like Ainsley just came.
Aye, because
She spoke to you.
aye, so Ainsley, Chris's girlfriend, messaged me like 3 weeks into the workshop because she said, Chris isn't tell me when the gig is. And I was like, I'll keep you posted, don't worry about it.
And then she invited like my other 2 friends and
Your-
my dad
your
kind of
dad.
through them. And I was glad they were there in the end to like share that moment with
Aye.
me because it was really good. But I was like, if I'm shit, I don't want them to see it. But I knew I would be glad if they were there.
Aye.
And I am.
But basically, the way I look at it, like for public speaking, which is not the same as stand-up, for anyone who thinks that the two might be related, they maybe are distant cousins, but
Aye.
they're very different beasts. Basically, though, the fact of the matter is, if you don't have any concern, I get that you've done so many, you're not bothered anymore. That's different. What I mean is, something like that, if you don't give a shit what people think, if you have zero fear of judgment, you're probably way along the psychopath scale, like having no human empathy.
Yeah.
So I think it is natural to have an element of, before you do something where you're like up above and setting yourself up as, I'm going to make you laugh or I'm going to entertain you or whatever the thing.
Aye, so it's a balance act, I think. So I think there's got to be maybe a small percentage that cares.
Yeah.
But there's got to be so if say, all right, so maybe there's, say we start off, there's 100% you care what people think, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But then if it goes to, you maybe care 20%, but you don't give a fuck. So there's probably a magic number where you care, but so it's like letting go of the outcome. If you had that kind of thing. So it's like all you can do is give the best you've got, and it's up to the fucking universe or the people in the audience. If they like you, good. If they don't, I don't give a shit.
That's so true. And when I was just before the gig on Sunday, I went and walked around the square and I went through my bit a few times and then I called my daughter and just had a wee chat with her. I didn't even mention what I was doing to her, just had a wee chat.
Did she not know you were doing it?
No, she knew.
Aye.
But she didn't ask, so I just left it. But then a little line from a song came into my head, and the song is, enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think.
out.
And I was like, yeah, it is later than you think. Like, I don't know if I'm going to have a stroke tonight or I'm
Don't
going to
do that,
survive
for
for
fuck's
50
sake.
years. No, you know what I mean though. Like nobody knows
Nah.
how late it is in terms of their clock, their clock to midnight. And just remembering that line, I was like, oh yeah, fucking this could be literally the last night of my life. I'm
Aye.
just going to go in there and I'm actually going to just enjoy this. And I did.
So
So
imagine
it did
like,
help settle me.
Aye, so imagine like that night, like we all went outside, got with a bus, but then we go to heaven. God would be going, fucking great gig, lads. You stormed that.
I'm not so sure God's going to be inviting me into his pearly gates
I don't know.
palace.
I don't know. I get like yeah. He's got a different agenda.
No, I'm going down into the earth,
That
or into
doesn't
the sea
exist.
with Pachamama, and I'm going to go back to Mother Gaia and just be part of the earth and feed the animals. I've got this thing where I want to be out swimming, and the orcas decide, because orcas are super smart, right? I think they're smarter than human beings.
You get them up your way, don't you?
Yeah, loads of them. And I would like to be there the day that they decide, do you know what? Let's start eating humans. They
not
are
eat humans?
dicks. No, they don't. Although my brother says, I think they do. He says, see, when a wee boat goes missing, that was an orca. They just smash it up and eat the punter. But the only time they kill humans is when they're in captivity. SeaWorld, San Antonio or Florida or
Quite
whatever.
right. Why? So I would as well. Cunts.
Quite. So yeah, that would be the perfect way to go. I'd be swimming out to sea, just in me swimmers, not in a wetsuit. That's cheating. Swimming out to sea in Shetland, and then the orcas would show up, and then they'd just go, "You're gone."
you
Just
want
one bite, you'd be gone.
You want to be greedy. You want a greedy one. You don't want to get one with no.
But it needs to be caught on video. Obviously, it needs to be like a drone video or something, because that's going viral, man.
You don't want it to be like an orca with no teeth that sucks you to death. That would take too long. You know what I mean? Like.
But enough of my dating older women.
Speaking of being sucked to death.
Speaking of your granny, Chris.
Right.
Hey.
Shetland or Thor sucked to death by orca. You know, you just want a big lollipop, because every now and again, like you go, it'd be a horrible way to go. So you'd like to be a couple of bites.
One ideally.
Aye.
No, I mean, no, my point is that,
Sucked to
what is
death
my
by
point?
an
What
orca.
the heck are we talking about? Oh, well, so my point was the psychology of, in this case, performance, call it. It's a fascinating one, and people have got all their different methods.
Aye.
But in terms of when it's public speaking, one of the most powerful things I've found is it's about the person's self-narrative. So it's like, why are you doing this? Who are you and why are you doing this? And when you get to the root of that, there's often a way in. And then, of course, there's discipline. Like, you have to build something and then you have to rehearse the something. Because that's a big part of the fear for people is they think, oh, I'm going to lose my words. Yeah, you're going to lose your words because you haven't practiced it enough.
Aye.
Like, I can make all the excuses I like about my memory, and my memory is a bit wrecked at the moment, but I can still, with discipline, learn the words. So I did.
Aye, you did.
It possibly took me a lot longer than some other people, but so
Still
what? There's
done
no
it.
point in making excuses. You just keep
Aye.
going until you get it.
Aye, very true. And it's totally. And I'm probably a bit like so I'm good at not giving a shit, but I could be doing a wee bit more discipline, just a wee bit. Because I think that's the difference between me doing I'm doing all right at comedy. People going to the next level is a discipline thing. So
What's the next level? Let's coach him right now, Chris. What
Alright,
is the next
that's-
level? He
that's a
needs some
coaching
coaching.
session.
What's the next level for you? What would it be? If there was zero chance of it going wrong, what would you like to be
My
doing
next
with your
level
comedy?
would be to be able to sell out theatres all over the country.
Okay.
And that's what it is. I mean, doing comedy clubs is good. Enjoy doing that, but doing solo shows all over the country, selling out 200 seaters, 500 seaters on a regular basis.
What would that give you? Obviously more money, but other than that, what would it give you from a personal point of view?
Freedom.
Freedom. What do you mean?
Freedom.
You've got freedom. You're sat here recording a crazy podcast. You do what you like. What do you mean freedom? What does that mean to you?
Freedom to do what I want, where I don't have to worry about paying mortgages and shit. So I think there's that part of me that, you know, we spoke about this before, Chris, where like you're a musician, but you've got a day job, but your music's your passion. So I've got my comedy's fucking love comedy, but there's always that part of me I need to work every now and again to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Whereas I know that going ball deep, you heard of that phrase, going full on in.
Heard of that phrase?
I'm
living it, brother.
The embodiment of the phrase.
Haven't you seen my rough material that we had to cut because it was too crude? Anyway, carry on. This guy told me my comedy, camera on me, this guy told me my comedy was too rude. Anyway, carry on.
I've just remembered like the very first words that I heard you say.
Did he? Don't say that. Don't say that in public.
I won't. But do you
It
remember?
wasn't in public.
Do you remember the first bit that he came up and did on day one of the workshop?
That wasn't a bit. That was just me saying whatever shit came in my head. That wasn't trying to be funny.
That was him just saying hello.
That was literally me. He says, say anything you like. I'm like, okay. Anyway, I want to know next level. Next level.
Where were we then?
Was I talking about bottoms?
Aye,
No,
aye.
let's not go there.
Double
Right, come on.
penetration.
No, I never. Obi, that was not on day one.
I
Right,
didn't
anyway,
say
carry
that.
on.
Stay tuned then. Where were we? So,
I was asking you about next level. I was saying, when you talk about freedom, what does that mean to you? And you've said it means not having to worry about paying the mortgage, but getting to do comedy.
I do comedy full time without having to give a shit that I need to pay bills and shit like that.
Right.
Which is probably the bit that's holding me back.
So what you're saying though is that the way, like, it feels a bit backwards to me, if I'm honest. Like,
Aye.
I'm not your coach, so I'm not being a coach here. I'm just being your pal for the sake of this, right? It feels backward. You're saying the next level is about selling a certain size of venue, but actually the next level is about freedom. So might there be some other way of creating that same freedom, but still everything you do is about comedy? Well, if we were to have a brainstorm, and the way a brainstorm works with me is craziest ideas win, I would say, I'll start with not a crazy idea at all. If you were doing, for example, corporate comedy workshops, you could be doing comedy workshops that were well paid, and you could be selling whatever size of venue, because you'll be making money at both, probably more money than you would make selling out the big venues, because those big venues got a lot of overheads and you ain't getting all the money. Whereas if you're going into a company delivering comedy training for executives, very low overheads, it's just you and a couple of cameras.
I see that I would enjoy doing that. But
Well, you can't argue. It's a brainstorm. You have to think of your own idea. You can't
Alright,
tell me
okay.
it's a shit idea.
Alright,
Chris
okay.
has to think of one too.
All right, okay.
So you can
Am I next?
you can
Right.
just go do the same thing but on acid and make it crazier.
Right, okay.
I would
like
say I would say we're potentially living one at the moment. Podcasting is a very
Aye.
viable thing in the comedy business
Aye,
world
and
at the
I'm enjoying
moment.
it.
So we've already started this, which
We're going to start it. We're going to be earning £1 million a week on Patreon soon.
I mean, it is perfectly reasonable. You look at guys like Have a Word that started
Aye.
their podcast out of, just before lockdown, built up a following 4 years ago now.
Yep.
And they're now on 30,000 Patreons, earning at least $100,000 a month.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's
Not
crazy.
unreasonable to think this could do something similar.
There's Patreon and then there's sponsorships as well that you can generate money from.
Yep.
Sponsored by Fredo.
What else? You could rent out this studio here.
Well, that's
maybe your
that's
studio.
sort of on my list to hopefully
So Chris is talking about
eventually
doing
turn
that.
this into a business as a podcast producer.
Yeah. All right, but back to Obi's comedy. Your channels to market, your podcast. What else have you got? Like, how did I hear about you? So a pal of mine
How
who's
did you hear about me?
we went to university together. He invited me to a whiskey tasting recently because I'd helped him out with some career stuff, coaching wise, just as a pal. So he invited me to a whiskey tasting. So we kind of reconnected. That was in Glasgow at Christmas time. But I think I maybe did a post on LinkedIn talking about wanting to try stand up again, and then he spotted the course somewhere. I don't know where he spotted it, and he just told me about your course. So I gave you a call. You seemed like a good guy. Next thing you know, I paid you $2,000 in Bitcoin, and where we went.
You heard that? What's that worth these days?
What revenue? Inland revenue.
$2,000 in Bitcoin. Is that what I should charge?
So, but your comedy, it's about freedom. Then it's about freedom.
I do.
That's
love.
that's the
I think
key
so.
value.
I think
Yeah.
it's about freedom, is it? I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, freedom to do that more of the fuck it list stuff as well. So it's not
Right.
just that. So yeah, I love the idea of just being able to up one day and going well, I've not got any gigs on this week. Well, say I've got no gigs on, and just go to the airport with no clothes. Well, I'll.
He's away at the airport naked. Now we're talking. My kind of trip.
I'm away at the airport naked with my passport up my arse.
Aye.
And,
Where would you go? Where would you go?
But I would just go there and just decide. I'd throw a
Well,
dice.
hold on. Let's just
I'd
do
throw
it.
a dice.
Yeah, but hold on. Let's just do it. He can film, and let's just go fucking do that. Like, what's stopping you? Just do that. You fucking get it on film. Has someone already done that? Just go to
Probably.
Edinburgh
I'm
Airport.
sure
I
they
mean,
have.
we'll wear clothes.
You need to lend me $2,000 then
Why $2,000? There's loads of places you can go for less than $2,000.
Hamilton.
You go to
From the
Stirling. You go to Stirling to see Joe Rogan's podcast studio just because he does it in Stirling.
Something like that isn't unreasonable.
No, it isn't.
Like-
it isn't. But
Even in terms of a podcast, a few years down the line, making something on Patreon, that's the kind of thing that podcasts
aye,
do and
aye.
make a special out of from that money.
No, it's finances. I'll be back for doing that just now because I just haven't got enough to do that at the moment. But you know, I probably done it after the festival, which I did. I went to to go to Portugal to do ayahuasca after Edinburgh Festival last year. So that was planned a wee bit, but I just went fuck it. I just went there, done that. But I just love the idea of just going fuck it. What am I going to do today? Throw the dice and deciding. Have you ever read The Dice Man?
I've not read it.
Well, I've not read it. I know the concept. Basically,
we've
the guy
talked about
decides
it.
what he's doing with the throw of dice. I fucking love that idea. Just going, what am I going to do today? Here's 6 things. And you just decide. I just love that. Freedom.
My brain's off in a really rude direction, so I'm going to stop that. Have you got any dice here?
No. I've got a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, you could do that. So if you were to choose like a destination per side or an activity per side, is that what you mean? Then you just
Aye,
throw
so
the
I would
dice?
decide that. I would maybe, like, I'd love to maybe do it with social media. Go on TikTok, go, right, I'm looking for 6 things to decide on what to do. Obviously, like, not things like go and kill cunts. get a gun, go on a shooting spree, not that kind of stuff.
Maybe clip that bit in case someone else clips that bit.
Not stuff like that, you know. So it's just stuff that's crazy enough, but not arrestable. Like, don't do a shit in a bus or anything like that. That's unreasonable.
So me and Naz, first time I met Naz,
Aye.
this reminds me because an idea came off the back of it, and then he decided against it. So Naz, for those that don't know, comedy promoter, Bangladeshi heritage, so he's got beautiful tanned skin. Anyway, Naz and I had never met each other a few years ago. He messages me and he says, "Oh, hey, brother, I've seen you all over LinkedIn and shit. We should meet sometime." I said, "Great, come out to my favourite restaurant. I'll buy you lunch." Aberdeenshire. So he comes out. Two different places, very different places.
Right. Sorry, man.
So he came out. He came out of the town. He made the effort. Came along this restaurant. Of course, I know all the staff, right? So we had a really nice meal. At the end of it, I says, "How was your beef?" And he says, "Oh, it was really good." And I said, "Was it halal?" And he started laughing and he says, "I'm not a practicing Muslim." And I said, "Yeah, but the waiting staff don't know that." I says, "See, when they come over and ask if we enjoyed our meal, you ask them if it was halal, right? And keep a straight face." And I says, I'll get them on video, right?
Right.
So what my favourite waitress came over, like we get on brilliant, right? She comes over, she's like, "Oh, yes, gentlemen, how was your lunch?" And he went, "Oh, it was really good, but was the beef halal?" And she went, you see her face like, and then she goes, I'll check for you. And he really leaned into it, right? And he was like, "Well, yeah, I phoned in advance and I was promised it would be halal
She
beef."
went improv.
And meanwhile, I'm videoing it. And she's fucking freaking out, man. It was so good. Anyway, obviously, we let her know that it was a wind-up in the end.
Aye.
And that was about 7 years ago. She still hasn't forgiven me. I know, we still speak. The point was, though, afterwards, me and Naz were like, that would make a really funny, like, YouTube thing. We could go into, you and I could go into all these different restaurants around the UK and just run that same gag, right? Because the facial reactions of people, and you could mix it up a bit. You could pretend to be Jewish. Like I could pretend to be Jewish and go kosher. He could do the halal thing. Whoa. Anyway, then he comes back to me and he's like, "Brother, we're going to get beheaded or something. Let's not do this shit."
I know there's some ideas you think that sounds amazing.
Yeah, sounds amazing until you actually start thinking it through. And they're like, "Wait a minute."
I know. The wee voice comes in. Don't be so fucking stupid.
Yeah, didn't he do that?
Didn't he do that? But there's levels of things you could do that are mad.
So what did I miss when I was in the house? Was that the ayahuasca chat?
Ayahuasca and Rocky,
Okay.
I think. But you'll see it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And all the stuff I told him about you, disgusting stuff.
Yet you still choose to work with me.
Maybe it's the disgusting stuff that keeps me.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
I've got a question for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Would you let your granny see your act?
That's a good question.
The face says it all.
That would probably cause a thing in the family.
Would it?
No matter how much I explain that it's sort of just a very exaggerated stem of one genuine comment,
Aye.
and the whole idea of comedy is just to exaggerate.
exaggeration, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think she would see it that way. I think she would see it as literal
Granocide. What was the word you said?
grandslaughter.
Grandslaughter.
See, the thing, it's an interesting one for me because of what I do. I ran a writing podcast in 2015, 16. I used to get 10,000 downloads a week plus.
Aye.
And so I've been writing for years. I've written nothing. It's not that I don't pretend to be some famous writer. I'm really not. But I write behind the scenes for a lot of clients.
Yep.
And help them with like business writing for presentations and shit. But I also love to write myself. So every morning I'll have a coffee and just write stuff. Sometimes it's just a journal. Sometimes it's something that'll end up in like a LinkedIn post.
Aye.
And again, I'm not the biggest on LinkedIn, but I've had a post do like over 800,000 views, for example,
All
which
right.
is not bad for LinkedIn.
I need to go on LinkedIn because I don't.
But here's the thing. There are certain relatives, and I'm really not going to name them, who, when they get really touchy because they're worried I'm going to mention them. And it's like, as somebody who writes, you want to be able, it's the freedom thing. You want to be able to write about whatever you want to write about.
yeah.
So there's a fine line. So that's why I'm interested in, because sometimes the most poignant stories are personal stories. And I've got stories like first night of my honeymoon story, for example, that it's very funny, or can be, but I probably would avoid telling it in public because,
Oh, there's definitely things I avoid.
do you know what I mean?
See-
So that, of course, it's just jokes, people. Like when I did one of my anti-war jokes, and some people were probably misunderstanding it. So you need to go, it's an anti-war joke, people. And then they think it through and go, oh yeah, so it is. But like with your gran or somebody close to you, it's like, where's that line? Because you're looking for something that's going to engage, entertain. But at the same time, you obviously value your relationship with your people around about you.
I think that bit does a good job at, relating to an audience, because I don't think this is just a me thing. I think we've talked about it before. You certainly have a similar thing with members of the family or whatever.
Aye.
And I think a lot of people do. As I say in the thing, it's a sort of aging thing for whatever reason.
Aye.
When people are older, they start saying shit without thinking about it type thing.
There's probably things I wouldn't mention on the podcast on stand up in case certain people hear it. Oh, he's kicking off.
Oh, it's just stretching.
He's stretching.
This is foundation training, and it's really annoys people that you do a founder. It looks really dodge.
What you doing?
A really bad founder. My old foundation training instructor will see that and be like, fuck me, that's not what I taught you for. But it pulls your back out, it straightens your back out. People have avoided back surgery when they've been told they've got multiple fuck discs using those techniques. It's an amazing thing. Foundation training. If you're having back problems, speak to Maura McGovern. She's wonderful.
Maura McGovern from Stirling, next door to Joe Rogan's podcast.
Aberdeenshire, God's country. Between the French Alps and Aberdeenshire, typically.
All right, cool.
Product placement. There's another way we can make money on podcasts. We'll get Maura should be sending you money now when this goes out.
Tell her if she gets. So like Darren Connell done.
The hair transplant.
The hair transplant people that had him put the sponsored his
That's
podcast
right.
because he got a hair transplant. So
Malaysian Airlines will sponsor you after they see your gig.
So maybe if there's any like hair transplant people out there that want to sponsor me, give me a shout.
Just shave it off, brother. When I start going bald, I'm just shaving it off and growing a proper ZZ top beard to make up for it.
No, I've shaved off. I've just let it grow the last couple of weeks because I've been lazy bastard. That's all.
You not grow a beard?
I could grow a beard.
Well, be a man. Have a shave, get a job, grow a beard, be a
Get a
boss.
job.
No, have a shave, get a job, grow a beard, be a boss. So grow a fucking beard. You're a freedom man. You're a
A
comedian.
freedom fighter.
But you got a fucking shave. All
like
shaved like you're away
shaving,
to an
man.
office.
I get annoyed.
Come on, man.
I get.
He's gonna be the boss's special pet. Look at him with his all smooth cheeks.
I like it.
Fucking grow a beard.
get-
Be a
see
man,
that-
Obi.
See if I get a week's worth of growth it gets. I tried to do Movember a few years ago and it just annoyed the fuck out of me. Like 2 weeks of a moustache, I'll get this to fuck.
Moustaches are obviously for total deviants. No, you need a proper man face.
A man face.
I feel
There's
attacked
no man that isn't improved by a beard.
Chris would take about 3 years to grow a beard, I think.
This is mine just stops at this point.
Yeah, but it's still better than not having any
So
beard
that's
at
like
all.
6
So
months.
fair play to you.
That's 6 months worth of growth.
It's like
Chris.
breast size and penis size. You can't really do much about it, right? So you just grow what you can grow.
Well done.
It's good.
That was Chris's fuck it. He's going to grow a beard. That was it. He's joining the who's the biker guys?
The hairy bikers.
No, well, I don't know. Nomads? No, I
Oh,
don't know.
the gangsters. The
That's not my world. I don't know.
I can't,
about,
you know, you know who I'm talking
don't know
about.
about bikers.
The bike. Who's the biker gangs?
Hell's Angels?
Hell's Angels. That's it.
What's the program about the biker gang? I'm trying to think. I can't remember.
EastEnders.
That's the one. Have you heard? We mentioned Darren Connell there. Have you heard of his ayahuasca experience?
No.
He talked about it on the Some Laugh podcast. That was like my introduction to hearing anything about ayahuasca.
I should never heard of it before.
I'd heard the word. I didn't know what it was, and then I just happened to listen to that podcast, and that's when I kind of learned about
I'll send
what
you
it
the
was.
clip when we get home.
Yeah, have a look. But he had some interesting experiences where he didn't not take it seriously, but he didn't take the advice beforehand in terms of. Is it suggested that you're vegan for a period before it and you take certain
you're not allowed to touch your willy for a while.
You certainly don't want to eat too close to it. That's for sure. You want to stop eating at lunchtime if you're going to do the journey at night, for example. Or
yeah, but even in terms of, he was advised by whoever it was, even in the weeks leading up to it, to eat a fairly clean diet.
A clean diet, and
he found himself the night before he was flying out to Peru in his mate's flat eating a munchie box type thing.
Right.
And then there was one night, as he said, he was there for about a week long retreat type thing, and was advised not to masturbate. And I think on like night 2,
you had a chug.
It happened, and
I don't think that's going to cause a problem. But I wouldn't.
The shamans didn't like it.
I'd think that was a good idea.
He said he admitted it to the shaman, and he was shunned for a week or a day or two. But just in terms of some of the stuff that he experienced on it, he had quite an interesting vision of his dad when he got home. He pictured himself walking down the street to his house. His dad was waiting at the door. Talking about beards, his dad had a kind of scruffy beard at this point, which he thought was odd because his dad was always very well kept and clean shaven.
See,
and
beard's cool.
When he gets to the door, his dad tells him, I'm really sorry, son. I didn't want to tell you while you were away, but your gran passed away while you were away. So this is the vision he had. And then when he comes home a week or so later, that's exactly down to the detail of the beard, what he was wearing, exactly what happened.
So the book to read on this topic, ayahuasca visions, is called Ayahuasca in My Blood by John Gorman, I think it is. Somebody Gorman. It's a cracking book. I've just bought the paper copy. I had it on Kindle. It's amazing.
Was it sorry,
he's a bit of a wild man, but because he was quite a drinker as well. But his ayahuasca journey is incredible. The descriptions in the book are incredible. He was doing it back in the late 80s, 90s.
And before people really knew about it.
Yeah, he was like quite an early pioneer in terms of going down to the Amazon and really getting involved. He married someone from down there. Like he really got engrossed in it. So, but that kind of thing is not that uncommon. Like it sounds wacky but like he had a vision of his girlfriend back in the apartment doing certain things. He saw furniture moved in the apartment that when he got back, he found it had been moved. Like, I don't know how you call it, astral traveling or something. I don't know, but pretty amazing stuff. I'm not going to doubt it or say it's true because I didn't have that experience. But
that's what I was going to ask.
That topic.
We had a similar. Mikey mentioned that last week. Not talking about ayahuasca. This was more of a DMT experience. Remember when he talked about his first? I think he took it 1 or 2 times, but the
his
time,
daughter growing up and stuff like that.
His daughter was just a baby at the time, and the first time that he properly broke through on DMT, he like witnessed his daughter grow up, like through her full life in a matter of seconds or whatever felt like it.
What's your experience with such things, Chris? Have you tried any?
No, not psychedelic wise, just weed and booze a wee bit.
I've tried alcohol.
I've seen you try alcohol. What age are you, Chris? Just
20,
approximate.
27.
Oh, you're in your 20s,
Youngster.
Yeah, this is one of those things where people often say they tried mushrooms when they were younger. And then I've had people say to me, you're 50, Thor. I can't believe you're trying hallucinogenics now. Like, you're surely too old. You're old enough to know better. And I'm like, actually, I think being older is a good idea for hallucinogenics.
Because you're ready for it.
Oh, yeah, you're really ready for it. People are typically going through some level of midlife crisis, whatever that might be. And they've also got anxieties, rightly, about ill health, death, etc. And those kind of medicine journeys can really help you come to terms with that kind of thing, your mortality.
Yeah. I'll probably do like a podcast. I'll tell you my whole thing. I've never really spoke about it on the podcast. So I'll do like one where I just do the whole. I was there for 3 days. I'll just do a whole thing.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it kind of personally a bit, but we've not really gone into it yet.
It's one of these things. It was as I was saying earlier. You don't want to tell certain stories because people judge you. So you don't want to be going, oh fucking hell, he's on drugs now, because you don't want people to kind of they don't understand what it is,
It's-
because it's actually something that people use. People who have been on heroin, cocaine, really fucked up drugs, have done an ayahuasca journey and they're clean now because of it.
Yeah, these things
So it's-
can cure people of all kinds of psychological and some would say physical challenges. Like I was part of running a drug rehab for years.
I
So
said that in Shetland.
I believe all drugs should be legal because I think adults should have the choice personally, but I still don't think that most people's lives are going to be improved by methadone or heroin or huge amounts of alcohol or all kinds of other things, opioids. So, yeah, in an ideal world, we would all use small amounts of whatever to enhance our lives, not to wreck them. But humans are humans. And if we're using drugs to numb our lives, you know, because we lack connection, like Gabo Mate says, that is his name, isn't it?
Don't know.
If we're using pharmaceuticals or alcohol to numb our feelings, and because we don't have good connection with other humans, that's where the problems come from.
Yep.
It's not the drugs themselves.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
it's that. So
Aye.
I totally agree with you.
Aye.
So somebody that goes and does ayahuasca or iboga or San Pedro, whatever they're doing, that's not a recreational drug anyway. Like it's not a like it's not that kind
Because
of thing.
you get people who say like drugs are bad, oh I don't mess with that stuff, but then they'll go out drinking 7 nights a week.
Yeah, they're on it with 10 tins of Stella a couple of nights a
so
week.
alcohol's the most harmful drug in the world, probably, in terms of
because it's probably the most accessible.
but in terms of
And
the
socially
problems it's
accepted.
caused. I think the amount of people that have families that have broke up, family problems, fucking murders, relationship shit, STDs,
Murders, rapes, STDs,
Aye, all
unwanted
on
pregnancies,
alcohol.
like
Alcohol.
car accidents,
Yep.
house fires. Like there's so many things. Yeah, absolutely.
Aye, and you never get people. Even cannabis isn't as bad, so people just decide. Oh, because when I was at school, they just say all drugs are bad, and that's drummed into you, and I believed it. You know, I remember I was about 18, and I was at a house party, and I smoked a tiny bit of dope. I must have been 17 or 18, and I had like 2 puffs, and I was convinced that was me, a junkie. I was like, oh no, that's me. On a
I definitely had
slippery
a similar. Like I was probably quite
And it-
susceptible to
aye.
the indoctrination of everything is
Aye.
terrible. Don't ever touch it. And when I did first try something, I felt that sort of, shouldn't be doing this.
Was that because you were a right wing Republican? Because that's where it comes from. You know that, yeah. 1973, Richard Nixon, American president, Republican president, war on drugs.
slope. Oh, that's
Like
true.
it's amazing to then see politicians of both sides just jump on it and think it's magic, this war on drugs.
Aye.
And like hundreds,
Because-
millions of people in
because
prison,
all the
people
hippies
dying.
were taking acid and stuff and kind of opening their mind and shit, and they think, no, we don't want people thinking.
Yeah, maybe that. I think they had certain racist objectives as well. But anyway, that's a whole other story,
Aye,
and I'm not
aye.
enough of an expert to know. But let's just say they didn't have good, clean intent.
No.
Those say no to drugs people.
It seems to be now there's more of people know more about what drugs are good compared to bad these days.
You'd
So
hope
there's more,
so.
maybe it's just the internet, people know more about it.
Or maybe you're just in the circles of people that know more about it.
Ah, maybe.
It's hard to know because we're all our own information bubbles, aren't we?
Aye, because even sometimes if I mentioned it to somebody that doesn't know much about it, they go, "You're doing what?"
Yeah.
So what do you mean? They just kind of look at it as if you're mad.
So that's the same with stand-up comedy. People look at me. People are like, you've committed to do what, you
Aye.
nutter?
Aye.
Because I've said to a few people, and I put it on LinkedIn saying, right, I've got to take my own medicine here. Like I'm a coach. I've got my comedy coach, and I've committed to him, to OBIE, that
Aye.
I'm going to do 100 gigs. And some people are just like, fucking,
Aye, that's just society
it's
for
like,
you, don't
you
they?
taking drugs?
It's like that. Have you ever heard of the analogy? It's the crabs in a bucket thing.
I don't think so.
Have you heard it? So basically, it's like you get so if you've got a bucket of crabs. So the story is there was a bucket of crabs and somebody left the lid off, and somebody says you better put a lid on that. It says no, don't worry about it. No, get out. It was how's that? Because anytime a crab tries to get out, his pals will pull him back in.
Yeah.
So that's an analogy, like in society, like you're in a kind of group of people, and you want, cause you're in a group of people where you go to school, you go to uni, you get a degree, you do a job, get married, all that shit. But if you try to do something different, there's people going, oh no, that's not safe, pal.
I know what you mean.
But who do you think you are? Because when I started doing stand up, I didn't tell MD. Like I was going away, like I was doing Viv G's workshop at the time, and I was going away every Tuesday or Thursday or something like that to do this workshop. and I was staying with my parents, and they're going, where are you going? Like orgies. Go to a gay bar, I'm killing people, like I'm a serial killer. So I'd tell them anything, I would just make up something up that I was doing every week. I wouldn't tell them. Although stand-up was the thing that the only thing I ever wanted to do, apart from win the World Snooker Championship. I wasn't good enough. But that was the only thing I wanted to do, and it was too difficult to tell people. Even tell my mates that humiliation you get. I want to be a stand-up. Don't be so fucking stupid. You get that kind of attitude.
I haven't really told people about the stand-up. Only people that watch this know. So
that'll be about 3 people.
Pretty much, yeah. Like obviously Ainsley knows.
Aye.
My dad watches this. I did tell him, but I knew he watched this. A couple of friends that watched this, like the ones that were.
Aye, it's weird, isn't it? How can you not tell your pals you want to?
I think it's a case of I want to decide when I feel like I'm good enough to show off this new thing that I'm doing.
Aye.
Dude, you're good enough to show it off already. Invite people to your next gig. I go and watch lots of professional gigs. I'm telling you, that's not first time. That's not first time standard. Do you ever listen to Kill Tony?
Yes.
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Have you heard some of the absolute nightmares on there that just have done no work at all? They've done no joke construction. They've not even thought of a funny thought.
Yeah.
Like, who have they run that shit by? They're about to get on a show that's got millions of viewers, biggest comedy podcast in the world, live one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you must have heard them. And some of them, you go, how long have you been doing comedy? 3 years. You're like, excuse me? There was a guy the other day said 14 years, and he went, and it was just the shittest thing. And I'm not being judgy. There was literally no laughs from anyone because it was just diabolical.
So did they do the stand-up on the podcast? Is there an audience?
Have you not
and
listened
stuff
to
there?
this?
No.
It's kind of like a gong show podcast,
Right.
like filmed live.
A gong shows are evil though.
But you don't get gonged off. You get your minute.
Yeah,
like he gives them, and sometimes if they bust it up, like at the end, he'll often let them finish jokes as well. But he's I mean, he's rough, but he's fair because he's.
But I mean, you're against a panel of like, Tony Hinchcliffe, Shane Gillis, Joe
fuck,
Rogan,
Ali
these
Shafir.
kind of guys. Yeah.
No, but it's amazing.
That's
He's given
pressure.
it's a really good format because they do actually give some amazing people. There's a guy on there who like has to speak with like a robot voice.
I saw that yesterday.
He's fucking incredible. He's so funny, and like he did actually a little personal bit on the last episode where he was just saying, "I'm going to take a serious minute here," and it was just like, "You, Tony, have given me this amazing opportunity." Da da da. And he has, but he's genuinely funny. He obviously was going to get no breaks anywhere else. But then there are these people. They've been doing comedy for like 20 years, 10 years. They come on and it's like they've put no effort in. You're about to get the biggest platform of your life. You'd think you'd practice and have something that you tested on your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah. I think for them, probably a lot of it's just getting on it is enough for them to be seen no matter what they're doing.
Humiliated for just being... For having put like if you've tried jokes and they don't land, fine. But to not even have any jokes, like
I mean, for me, I wouldn't be happy. I wasn't necessarily happy going up and doing what we did because I didn't feel like I'd prepared enough and it wasn't good enough for my standards. Obviously, it was for certain people, and now looking back on it, I was happy with it.
That's your first 5 minutes, so it's like,
but like if I was on something like that, like you see Britain's Got Talent, X Factor, all this shit.
Oh, you see some
people
of them
go
on
on
that.
clearly just for the sake of going on the telly. They don't care about something being good, and it's the ones that have clearly put the work in that stand out.
I think Britain's Got Talent deliberately look for people that are shit because that's what people want to see. They want to see the car crashes.
Well, that's true. On Kill Tony, you'll get Tony will often say, do you want to see people do well, or do you like it when they bomb? And everyone's like, yeah, we like it when they bomb.
Oh, they want to see that.
They do want to see that, but that's not the point. My point is, like, for Chris to think, don't want to tell my friends until I'm good enough. It's like, dude, like you already are above the level of all those people on that show, other than the rare exceptions who've really put work in and have actual joke construction. So
I'll let you watch this.
Invite your friends next time.
Kill Tony.
I will.
Well, I can talk. I never brought anyone this time.
You stay miles away. All your friends stay in Shetland.
Well, I could have done more promoing of it, but to be honest, it didn't feel like a promo type event. I also knew it was quite a small venue. So if I'd start really pushing it on LinkedIn and get like 10 people, I've done this before, where I basically filled most of Naz's place, and what I actually felt it was unfair. Because, I got loads of laughs, but that's because I brought most of the people. So it's like if you're in a 70-seat venue and you've sold 50 tickets, the whole front row was pals of mine. It's way too easy. Do you know what I mean?
No, I've seen before. I've seen gigs where like if it's new acts gigs,
Yeah.
and I've been on just trying out new material, and I've seen somebody there that's on at the start,
Yeah.
like maybe it's maybe a student who's brought like 30 pals in,
Yeah.
and they go on, and you're like, oh, this is a good crowd for a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, and then
they
they'll
go
leave.
on. they have a great gigs on all the pals.
Yeah.
They with their 30 pals fuck off, and I'm left with two people from France or something.
It's just that is such bad. That is such bad form. Like I couldn't even bring myself to leave the other night because I was like, that's not on for me to leave just because I happened to have been on second and be working early. Like I need to stay to the end. And like people who do that, that's outrageous. Can they not see that they're sucking the energy out?
It was like most of the audience left. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I went for a piss, go back, and there was nobody left. I was like, holy shit, thanks for that.
You can take that up with my 4. They went off.
You had 4 that left. I wasn't going to mention that, Chris, but that's fine. But they were all working the next day, weren't they? And that's how I had to fill out the middle row again.
Aye.
Because they left and we'd done that.
What time did we start?
About
7.
an hour and 24 minutes ago.
All right, will we finish up then?
Well, I don't know. I just suddenly realised it's just going to be back a bit tweaky. And I was thinking, I must have been here for a while.
Aye, because we try to do an hour, but we get chatting.
Once you've cut out all my references to professional comedians I shouldn't be
you only
slating,
had one.
my
You have about 6 minutes left.
anti-American military-industrial complex stuff.
That's staying in.
Every time I use the C word.
You never used the C word once, you cunt. See what I did there?
Oh, yeah,
But
that was you.
But I like that word. It's a podcast.
With all the bleeps and my rant
We don't
about
have
Goggins. It's not Goggins. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Look him up.
It's the system. I know who he is, obviously.
He's on the podcast next week.
Who's gonna carry the boats?
Who is going to carry the boats?
So next week...
Don't get me started on the Americans again.
Next
Come on.
week, we've got Donald Trump and David Goggins on the same thing.
Which American comedian would you want on this show? If you could get any.
Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis. Okay.
I don't know him. So you know more comedians than me. If, like any of all time,
Yeah.
alive, right away it would be Robin Williams.
I'd want Doug Stanhope.
Yeah,
He'd
he's up there.
probably get blitzed on something and he's just fucking insane, isn't he? He'd be great.
But any comedian would be Robin Williams. Doug Stanhope, aye, he'd be awesome.
He comes over here, though. He does.
Aye.
He's definitely done
Hey,
Have a Word.
We could give him a shot. You know, that was one of the things I was meant to be doing with the fuck it list, writing 100 people who I don't think I could get on, but asking them anyway.
Oh, that is a good idea. So I know from my writing podcast days that you might be surprised who's up for it when they hear it's a Scottish podcast. It's got a wee edge. If you write the right wee pitch for Twitter, I used to get a lot of my guests by tweeting them.
So who have you had? I know you. I listened to the Tom Stade one.
It was kind of. So I had some kind of weird ones. I had like Scott Adams, the Dilbert cartoonist.
All right.
That got me a massive audience when I got him on. Who the hell? I used to. So it was semi-political and it was across the spectrum. So I had super lefties on all the way through to some pretty right-wing people, and I had like the first openly gay Arab Muslim novelist. Abdullah
That's
Tai.
that's a very niche.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But he was a fascinating guy, like French first language speaker. Who the heck else did I have? It's hard to remember now. I didn't get Christopher Hitchens because sadly he'd passed away. I got Peter Hitchens was on. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know if the podcast's still there. I think some of my guests were too controversial. It might have been taken down.
All right,
but my point was that you'd be surprised sometimes how big the guests you can get if you just...
And I think that's your podcast.
Oh, I nearly got Dawkins. That's right. I nearly got Richard
brilliant,
Dawkins. I was in communication with his private secretary for fucking months. And the other one that I'm still after getting is George Galloway. But now he's just been like... He keeps saying he's going to come on. And that's like 3 podcasts ago. So anyway.
So I'll keep an eye out, like comedians that are coming to Scotland, maybe, and I'll just fucking ask them.
Yeah.
Because I've got Paul Perry, you don't know him, but he's a brilliant Dundoney comedian that lives in London now. He'll come on, he's a legend.
Oh, have you had Tom Stade on?
Nah.
He lives just down the road.
I seen you at Tom Stade on. I'll ask Tom.
Right.
But when we finish there, Chris, because that's an hour and a half in it.
Talking about your podcast, is it still going? You got a podcast just now?
Get your podcast a plug.
The current podcast is called Speak with Courage. Speak with Courage.
I like it.
I love interviewing comedians and also just, how can I put it, cutting edge thinkers. So people that want to talk about hallucinogenics, unconventional growth is sort of a theme of the pod. Had some people on recently who've been a part of like legalizing psychedelic assisted therapy.
Yep.
Had Graham Simpson, who's he's like a 6 million selling author. The Rosie Project, I think it's called.
Aye.
Was his kind of biggest book. Kind of autism type fiction. Fascinating, quirky guy. Anyway, speak with courage. But if anyone's watching and wants to connect on LinkedIn, that's probably my main
How's your
platform.
LinkedIn?
Just my name,
Thor
Thor
Holt.
Holt. If you just plug
Thor
Thor
Holt.
Holt into LinkedIn,
Cool.
you won't be able to miss me. I'm all over the place.
All right, cool. And when's your next gig? So Thor's
I've
done
got-
one gig, so you're planning to do 99 more?
Well, I've done 4 in total.
All
but,
right, cool.
But basically, I've just been told about 2 in the next couple of weeks. So I
Excellent.
just haven't confirmed them yet, so I don't want to say. I mean, I guess I'll try and aim like Grant. I'll try and aim for 1 a week, roughly.
Aye,
Because
aye.
I need to keep,
If
for
you
me,
get-
I need to keep it in my memory, and then I
Aye.
can riff off it. Like, I've had a couple of people come on calls with me, and they've been like, oh, I heard you did stand-up. Give me a bit of it. So I've tested some of the jokes and then just started ad-libbing a bit and using some of the harder stuff that I had from before that you rightly
Aye.
challenged me on. And it works because
Aye.
it's just conversational and it's one-to-one. And they already like me, as you pointed out.
Aye.
So yeah, anyway, I want to aim for like once a week so I can remember it enough to then try and riff off it and test different things. Because if I leave it a month, I'll have forgotten it. With my
And I
brain.
feel that when I'm doing gigs, if I'm not gig for a month, you get a wee bit rusty.
Oh yeah.
The strongest I am in comedy is September, because I've done like at least 3 gigs a day in Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah.
So I've probably done about 100 gigs in a month.
Holy shit.
And then at the end,
Yeah.
I'm kind of sharp, your brains.
yeah.
Kinda, it's like playing golf if you're playing every day.
So yeah, once a week. That seemed like a
Aye.
good challenge, and then I'll hopefully knock out the 100 over 2 years. Which
Well,
is
if you Edinburgh Festival, if you're about then, you can get loads of open spots there.
I've got an idea for a show. It's called Brexit Bastards.
Aye.
So
I'll chat to you about
it'll
that.
be political and the sex stuff as well.
All right, cool. But we'll finish there because that's an hour and a half now.
This is your second last chance to plug your Glasgow Comedy Festival
All right,
shows.
Glasgow Comedy Festival show, 23rd of March, the Fuck It List, 3 o'clock, Nice and Sleazy's, and the following Thursday, the 28th, in Blackfriars at 9:30. So you can get tickets. There's a link below. Or if you know me, speak to me and I'll give you tickets because I've got physical tickets as well.
I've
So I'm
bought
doing a
2.
double.
I'll be at Nice and Sleazy. So if you're coming along, come and say hi to me.
Come see him, and you're coming to the other one.
Yep. I'm not avoiding you, by the way.
No, it's cool. I didn't assume you were.
We started that fight, yeah.
I've got positive paranoia. I assume everybody likes me until I find out different.
So that's podcast number 11 done. So thank you to Thor. Thanks for coming there. Well done in your gig.
Gentle.
And Chris.
Where are the boats? Is this where we get Goggins again?
And we'll see you again next week. Who we've got? Well, I don't know yet. We might do the podcast. We'll either do the guitar or we talk about ayahuasca. Or my thing, or the 2 of them. But thanks for coming. Thanks for sitting in your pants watching us in the toilet. Have a good day.
He is.